What's going on, guys? It's Merwin. Today we're going to talk about my top rap songs of 2022. So today, guys, I'm going to be going through my top rap songs of the year. Obviously, this was a great year for music, especially a great year for rap. A lot of great albums, a lot of great songs from some big artists and some up-and-coming artists as well. We're just going to get straight into the video here. We're going to start off here with 5 honorable mentions. So we're going to do my top 10, but we're going to start off with some honorable mentions here. First song we're going to be starting off for an honorable mention is Wanna Be Loved by Joey Badass. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to Joey Badass's album 2000 that came out, I think it was around July. Very good album, very solid. This personally is my favorite song from that album. You know, if you listen to, I'm doing a video on my top rap albums as well of 2022. We'll have that coming out soon. I'll talk about that album a little bit as well. This is my favorite song from that album. I really like the production, very nice. The hook is really good. Joey's verses are really solid. Yeah, the production's really good. Joey's verses are really solid. It also features Jid, who is also an album who released the Forever Story this year, which is also a really good album. So yeah, all around really solid song. Definitely check it out. Some good ones on that album as well. Moving on next. Next honorable mention is going to be East Point Prayer by Vince Staples and featuring Lil Baby. So this is also an album that I'll be talking about a little bit on my top rap albums of the year. So East Point Prayer is on Vince Staples' album Ramona Park Broke My Heart. Overall, again, one of my favorite albums from this year, and I'll talk about that more in the album video. I think this personally is my favorite from the album. It's between this one and then probably Magic and Lemonade for my favorite from the album. But really nice beat. It's actually kind of a little bit of a different beat than the rest of the album in my opinion. And then Lil Baby is kind of a surprising feature in my opinion to be paired on this beat and with Vince Staples. But overall, super nice song. It's like a really good like mid-tempo, not super chill, not super like high tempo either. So very good song. Check that one out if you haven't heard already. Next song is going to be 2010 by Earl Sweatshirt. So I've been a pretty big Earl Sweatshirt fan, especially since, you know, he kind of came out with the blog rap scene, you know, in the early like 2010s. So like with a lot of artists like Kendrick and A$AP Rocky who came and like got big during that time, I've like known about him for a long time. This is one of my favorite Earl Sweatshirt songs I've heard in a long time. Obviously, some rap songs is great. You know, I've been following him since Doris and all that stuff. And this one's really cool and really unique for Earl. I think the beat is very different and it's a very cool beat. I don't really know who made it. I might look up here in a sec who produced it. But the beat is super cool. Earl's got some super nice verses. He really comes hard and it's like a very unique track for Earl, which is really cool. Definitely check that one out if you haven't. Next honorable mention here is going to be On God by 5 Foreign. This is also a really solid album. It didn't make the cut for my album list, but Bible was really good. I really liked it. Definitely enjoyed it a lot of good tracks on there. This personally, I think there's a couple on that album that I probably could have put in this slot, but I think this one's my favorite. Really cool beat. It's got like some Donda inspiration behind it, and it's, you know, nice, short and sweet. It's like a 2-minute song. Very nice song. I like that one as well a lot. And the final honorable mention before we get into our top 10, my top 10 rap songs of the year is going to be Love by Kid Cudi. So I'm a huge Kid Cudi fan. I think you can see I got him back here on the album wall. But so this, obviously this was one that was, you know, kind of had some anticipation behind it, you know, before it was released. Definitely very good. The hook is amazing. One of the best choruses I think of the year in my opinion, especially in the rap genre. So very good. The beat's super dope. You know, pretty, you know, standard for Kid Cudi. So very cool song. Love the message as well. Message is very, very good. So those are my honorable mentions. We're going to get started into the top 10. So we're going to get started with some actual rankings here. You know, maybe cause a little bit of controversy, but we're going to start out with number 10, start from the bottom, work our way up. Number 10, I have Wait For You by Future and Drake. So this is obviously a huge song. Future's album, I think, is at this point, as I'm recording this, is still the top selling rap album of the year. Obviously it's a huge song. You know, I think this is, again, probably kind of similar to Earl. I think this is one of my favorite Future songs I've heard in a long time. The beat is a little bit different for what he normally goes for. You know, Future's very versatile. You know, he can go across a lot of stuff. But it was very different, I think, just, you know, for what he's done recently. Drake obviously came in and, you know, killed his feature. You know, it's Drake. But I really love the beat. The sample and the chop with Thames is really nice. And, you know, does a really good job, and like just the content of the song, and, you know, it's a little bit more of an emotional song, which again, you know, is kind of in Future's lane, but also he does like some really like good trap stuff as well. So really good song, and I think just a very big song, probably one of the biggest rap songs of the year, I think, in my opinion, other than probably like Jimmy Cook's. So that is number 10. Next, moving on to the next song at number 9, I have Cash In, Cash Out by Pharrell, 21 Savage, and Tyler the Creator. So this one also a very big song. You got obviously 3 huge names on it. That's obviously gonna get you, a big response anyway, just from having those 3 artists on it. So first off, I think, initially I know the hook is a little, kind of grows on you a little bit. It's kind of repetitive, got a little bit of like maybe a Gucci Gang type thing going on there. But I like it a lot. I think the hook definitely did grow on me a lot. That was probably the first thing that probably, maybe if I were to critique it, would be the hook. But Tyler's verse is awesome and probably his biggest song of the year since he didn't really drop much this year. And then 21 Savage obviously has had a crazy year, but just kind of adding on top of that with this verse and then the Pharrell beat. The beat for Pharrell I think is really good. It still, shows that he's still got it at this age and, in this like stage in the game, but still probably not one of my favorite Pharrell beats. But still very good. So that is it for that song. Moving on to the next one, we got at number 8, we have Middle of the Ocean by Drake, off of his album Her Loss of 21 Savage. So this album, I'll definitely be talking about it in my top rap albums video. This one is definitely one of my favorites off the album. This is the best I've heard Drake rap in a long time. Got some good verses. He actually rapped, in my opinion, he did very good. He has a lot of good bars and a lot of good verses on his album, Her Loss. This one I think has probably the most of those lines. I remember listening to it on my couch when it came out, and you just get that face on a couple of the bars. I think there's the cut the kid off vasectomy line in this one. Super cool. The beat is super nice. It's got like a subtle beat change in it too, which is really nice. So overall, really nice. Sample chop is good. Versus it's just straight bars. You can't get any better than that. So that is it for number 8. And speaking of straight bars, at number 7, I have Gotta Rap by Ab-Soul. This one, I could probably put a number of Ab-Soul songs off his album Herbert into this slot. It kind of came down to between this one, Do Better, and then Good Man, I think, for me to put in this one. But I think after listening to the album for a while, I think this is the one that is the best and my favorite on the album. This one, DJ Premier produced it, and he absolutely killed it. The sample chop is super good, especially when they kind of have that alternating section with the piano and the horn. Samples super good. Ab-Soul, again, love the whole album is fire. I'll be talking about that in my album video as well. Whole album is really good. This one again, I think is the one where he shows the most, has the most bars and such like that. It's like I said, the beat awesome. This is just like old school rap. Doesn't get better than that. And like I said, I'm a huge Ab-Soul fan. I've known him since Mac Miller kind of introduced me to him on watching movies with the sound off. I've kind of followed his career, so super happy he's making music again. And great album, great verses, great song. Moving on to the next one. This one is probably going to be no surprise to people, except for maybe that it's ranked a little lower than most people would have. At number 6, I have Walkin' by Denzel Curry. To be honest, for this one and for the album as a whole, this was an album that didn't really click with me immediately and kind of took a while for it to grow on me and just for me to really get it, and really to click with me. Just kind of the beginning of the song where it's slower kind of threw me off as opposed to the faster part of the song where it switches in the second half. I think for me, if it maybe started with the faster part and then switched to the slower, that's how I would have arranged it, but that's just me. But then, a little more I listened to it, the more it started to click with me, and then you get that ain't no sound, just like that flow. Really started to click with me, super good song. The album's really good. I'll talk about it in my album video. Probably not my favorite Denzel Curry album, but definitely top 3. Great album, and then I love this song as well. Probably the best one on the album, in my opinion, hands down. Moving on to the next song at number 5, we have Surround Sound by J.I.D. So this is, J.I.D. had a great year. He's definitely still, on the come up and, only getting better, only getting bigger. This one, released at the top of the year. So when I was looking at my rankings, this is another situation where it was between Dance Now and then Surround Sound for me. Both of those are really good, and then I like Change on the album a lot as well. So I think I picked Surround Sound mainly just because of the 21 Savage feature. For me, that was the reason I picked this one. Otherwise, I like Dance Now a lot. I think this one, the sample chop is a little cooler as well. Drums are fire, super nice. The hook is super fire as well, very catchy hook, especially for not being a singing hook and it's a rap hook. So excellent song, definitely deserves a spot in the top 5. Very good, and we'll talk more about JID later in our other videos here. Moving on to number 4, we have, this is the only one that I think was released purely as a single, but eventually made the album. So we have Johnny P's Caddy by Benny the Butcher and J. Cole. I'm a huge J. Cole fan. I probably would have him in my top 5 favorite artists. So this one, for, pretty obvious, the beat is amazing. Benny the Butcher's verse is great, and then this is probably, in my opinion, one of the top rap verses of the year with J. Cole's feature. This is a song you can really just throw on repeat, and I just kind of listen to a lot, which is how I listen to music anyway. But this is one that I had on repeat in my rotation for a long time. J. Cole's verse is awesome, obviously, and then Benny the Butcher, who is someone who I have known but didn't have like a ton of exposure to, also did a great job as well. His album Tana Talk is also really good. So yeah, that is it for that song. Moving on to number 3, we got our top 3 now. These are my top 3 rap songs of the year. At number 3, I have I Pray For You by Pusha T. So this is one, Pusha T's album, It's Almost Dry, really, really good. At first when it came out, I was like, this is really good. I think Daytona's a little better. I'll talk about, all these. There's kind of a theme here. A lot of my top rap songs come from my top albums. But I think now that I've listened to it and digested it all year, I think this is probably Pusha T's best album in my opinion. This is my favorite song off of there. I think there's a couple, again, that could fit in there. I think I like this one the most. Again, just because it sounds sonically so different from what Pusha T normally does. It's got, again, like kind of like a gospel, like Donda church inspiration. Labyrinth has a really good like falsetto hook there with the chorus. You got the Clips reunion on this song, which is awesome. And yeah, the chorus is really good. I remember I was in my airport terminal on a trip when this came out, and I listened to it. This is like really like makes you feel like you're floating song. It was like super cool. Vibes are really good. The only critique I really have on this song is that it's a little long. But other than that, I think it's probably the best one on the album for me. Next on number 2, my second favorite rap song of the year, we have Few Good Things by Saba. I've been following Saba for a long time. So Saba is a Chicago rapper, so being nearby, I've known him for a long time. I followed him since his Comfort Zone mixtape. So I was super excited seeing that his album was coming out at the beginning of the year. And this again will be one that I talk about in my albums video. I think this one, it was between this one and 2012 for me for my favorite song off that album and what was going to go in this slot. 2012 is obviously a great storytelling song, which is really good. I picked Few Good Things for a couple reasons. I think the beat is really good. You got a really good feature. I believe it's Black Thought. The beat changes. The beat is awesome. And it just, it's the, basically the thesis of the album, Few Good Things. It's got some really good lines in this album and in this song. It's got some really good lines. Overall, really good song. This is probably my favorite. I think 2012 was close second on that album, but we'll get to talk about that album more in the other videos that we're working on. And now finally for my top rap song of the year, this, may be a surprise. Maybe the artist will probably not be a surprise, but the song might be. So at number 1 top rap song of the year, I have Mother I Sober by Kendrick Lamar. So Kendrick Lamar, I love Kendrick Lamar. Like I say, I've been following him since Good Kid, Mad City. That was probably one of the first rap albums I got a lot of exposure to. I remember finding, that album on Spotify and listening to it, with the van on the cover art. So I've been following Kendrick for a long time. Obviously, we've been waiting for a long time for the album to come out, and I know I'll talk about this album a lot in my top albums video. But this is my favorite rap song of the year, which might be a little weird because it's a very different rap song they have at the top of the list. But 3 verses, all of them are incredible. When this album came out, I was listening to it pretty much nonstop for like a month. Not a joke. I listened to this song every single day, probably for like 2 weeks, which is crazy because this is like an 8-minute song. But so for me, this is one of my favorite. Probably I would put this in one of my top like 5 Kendrick songs ever. So for me, the reason I put this song at the top, the verses, are just all awesome. The beat is really like sobering, kind of pun intended. The feature for the chorus, I believe, I think she's the singer from Portishead. I'm pretty sure if I remember. I forget her name, but I think she's singing from Portishead. Did a really good job as well. And then like just the emotion behind it is awesome. The story, kind of what it's telling. The message is incredible, obviously. I think for me, kind of the reason I listen to it every day is just because the message of the song is just a really good reminder of, what people are going through. That everybody, there's kind of like that NPC trend. I think this is a really good song because it kind of combats that mentality and just reminds me of like, everybody everywhere is going through stuff, which I think is a really good reminder and like very admirable to make a song like that. And then all 3 of Kendrick's verses are awesome. So Those are my top rap songs of the year. Like I said, we got a lot more that coming up this year. We're trying to really lock in, double down, go crazy this year. That is it for this one. We're gonna be doing a couple more best of 2022 videos. So we're gonna be doing my top non-rap songs, top rap albums, and top non-rap albums. So I'll be actually filming those as soon as I press the button after this one. So stay tuned for those. We got a lot more coming up. That is basically it. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.
Pain is taking over, blame myself, you never felt guilt.